Hello, my friends. Thanks so much for pressing play on today's episode of Stand Up. I'm here Monday through Saturday and even posting a couple shows in between, doing all I can to inform and enlighten you with guests who have credibility, integrity, expertise, and hopefully some personality and humor to go with it. I can't put out all this great and informative information without your support, so please sign up for a paid subscription at patreon.com/PDominic right now. For alternative forms of payment, email me standupwithpete@gmail.com. For those of you already with paid subscriptions, you are simply the best and have been for a long time. Thank you so much. Let's do it, shall we?
Stand up.
Oh, man. Trump's former Attorney General Bill Barr says he is toast. You know who else is toast? The Unabomber. Yeah, killed himself. Make your shed jokes now. And I've got both Maura, Quint, and Cauvin joining me for two great conversations on today's show. So let's get into it, everybody. Is it mid-June? It's the 12th of June episode of Stand Up. The show drops at midnight every night, wherever you get your podcasts and on YouTube. So the first third of the month. It's the second third of the month. That's where we are at. Infinite possibilities. Maybe the best is yet to come. Platitudes, baby. That's all I've got. And they seem to work for me so far. I'm 47 years old here in Rockland County, New York. The smoke seems to have dissipated, at least for now. No excuses but to get outside and get that vitamin N. I hope you did over the weekend. Send it my way at standupwithpete@gmail.com. Love your nature photos, and I include one every day for paid subscribers, so get outside and send me your photos. But don't forget, of course, to try to remain present when you're out there in nature and take it all in. Nothing better, I say. I got a lot myself this weekend. Had a nice relaxing weekend, as a matter of fact, with the family, just hanging out. Val is now making yoga videos, and she wants me to tell you to follow her on Instagram at ValV_health and fitness. That's her Instagram, where she's making videos. There you go. Ava went to prom Friday night, and it went really well. And Julia has this week of finals, final week of school, and she's got her final exams at the end of her freshman year. So we are cruising into summer. I hope you are somehow, some way as well. If you're transitioning in any way, good luck with it. It can be stressful. It can be fun. It could be anything. I'm happy to hear about it, talk about it, and learn from your transitions and experiences as well as each other's each and every day. Let's talk, though, about what happened over the weekend. Dare I say it was kind of a slow news weekend? I mean, most of the attention on the Sunday shows and cable news is being paid to Donald Trump, the former disgraced president, being indicted on like 7,000 counts for stealing classified documents and showing them to people. And then he was demanded that they be returned, not return them. And, you know, just boxes everywhere in his bathroom. And you've seen the pictures. You've heard all about it. Now you're hearing all the arguments and defenses of it. Many in the Republican Party acting as if they are his lawyers, his defenders. But it is getting really hard for even them to defend them, as I'm about to share with you from the Sunday show. One point I want to make that I'm seeing a lot of different places, it's idea that if you can indict one former president or even executive or congressperson, you know, it's the precedent it sets. But if you can indict a former president on state and federal levels, then you can indict all former presidents on state and federal levels. And this new precedent has been set. But of course, I think it's really important to remember that everyone keeps talking about this precedent that prosecuting Trump sets, but no other president have done this or will do what he did. I mean, refusing to hand over documents and lying to evade the subpoena, that's pure Trump. That is quintessential the Don. He's bizarre, not like anybody else. So I don't think it does set a precedent. And of course, let's get started with the sound that everybody is talking about. The sound heard around the world because it is Donald Trump's former protector-in-chief, his former kind of personal lawyer and protector. Not supposed to do that when you're the attorney general. Of course, Bill Barr did do that, and worse, protected him at every turn until he lost the election, and then even Bill Barr turned on him. And this is what he said on Fox News, by the way, on Sunday. They kicked off quite a bit more commentary and controversy and a outrageous rant by the former president, even for his standard. Here's Bill Barr.
What about this chief argument that comes up for the president's allies and his legal team that this should have been handled under the Presidential Records Act, not this Espionage Act charge and other federal statutes that were used here?
Well, it started out under the Presidential Records Act and the archives trying to retrieve documents that Trump had no right to have. But it quickly became clear that what the government was really worried about were these classified and very sensitive documents. I was shocked by the degree of sensitivity of these documents and how many there were, frankly. And so the government's agenda was to get those, protect those documents and get them out. And I think it was perfectly appropriate to do that. It was the right thing to do. And I think the counts under the Espionage Act that he willfully retained those documents are solid counts. Now, I do think we have to wait and see what the defense says and what proves to be true. But I do think that even half what Andy McCarthy said, which is if even half of it is true, then he's toast. I mean, it's a very detailed indictment, and it's very, very damning.
Very, very damning. Trump is toast. Well, that drove all of the rest of the news shows, I think you could probably argue, because that was on Fox News on Sunday early in the morning. Again, the president's former attorney general and protector, and on Fox News, he is saying that, clearly sending a signal. So then Donald Trump goes on his social media network, whatever the hell it's called, and starts ranting and raving there and calling his former attorney general a pig and disgusting and all kinds of other things. As a matter of fact, during my conversation with J.L. Cauvin coming up, I have him read that Trump social post in Trump's voice, and he adds some flair to it. It's pretty funny, so you can hear that later. I'm certainly not going to play any of it, because he also went on and did some interview with Roger Stone, apparently, where he also complained about Bill Barr. Anyway, here's the thing. It's going to be really hard now to defend Donald Trump, because you have him on tape saying that he can't any longer classify things and then showed them to somebody. So it's kind of a slam dunk. That's what everybody's saying. And even his most strident supporters, who are really good at performing on cable news and in Congress, like Jim Jordan, are getting exasperated when pushed by CNN's Dana Bash. And you can hear in his voice, he has no idea how he's supposed to spin this, how he's supposed to defend this.
When he was president, he declassified the material.
He says point blank, point blank on tape, as president, I could have declassified it. Now I can't. He says in his own words, it's on tape as part of this indictment that he did not declassify the material. Therefore, it is classified.
Saying he could have is not the same as saying he didn't.
He said now I can't.
He has declassified this material. He said that now he can't, right, because he's not president now, but when he was president, he did declassify. He said that.
Which means that what he was holding was classified.
No, not if he declassified it when he was president of the United States, for goodness sake.
But he's saying point blank in this audio tape that he did not declassify it. What you're saying just doesn't make sense on its face.
This is what this truly is, Dana, is an affront to the rule of law. It's an affront to consistent application of the law. You had Secretary Clinton.
And we are done, because we don't need to go back there, but you can hear it in his voice. He's exasperated. He doesn't know what to say, because there's really nothing to say when you're being questioned like that by, it's not any real credit to Dana Bash. Everybody's saying the same thing. It's that same moment that everybody seems to be drawn to with his defenders. Here's George Stephanopoulos with pilot fish and Senator from South Carolina, Lindsey Graham. Same thing.
And I've heard that. I've heard your attack on President Biden and his Justice Department. I've heard your attack on Hillary Clinton. I've heard your attack on Bill Clinton. What I've not heard from you is a defense of Donald Trump's behavior and why you think that's the kind of behavior you want to see in the President of the United States.
I'm not justifying his behavior. If it were up to me, nobody would take classified information.
But you're endorsing him for president of the United States. You're saying he should be president of the United States.
Yeah. I think what's happening here is trying to delegitimize him.
All right. So do you hear it? They're really struggling to defend him. That's Jim Jordan and Lindsey Graham. I mean, you can hear they just stutter. And they're not usually like that. There's no defense when you get someone who's asking the right and decent questions. There's no defense. He's on tape. It's over. is a lot of what we're hearing. I'm sure you've heard a lot of the legal analysis. I'll probably welcome Glenn Kirshner or someone like Glenn on to talk about it this week, but it looks really like curtains for Donald Trump. Who knows the timing of this and all of the details? It's going to be dragged out probably for a long time, maybe even after the election. Certainly it'll be playing out during the campaign. Exciting times. What an exciting time to be alive. Unless you're Ted Kaczynski, because he's no longer with us. Here's a report from ABC News on that.
Tonight, the man nicknamed the Unabomber, who terrorized the nation with a bombing campaign for almost 20 years, is dead. Ted Kaczynski, serving 4 life sentences plus 30 years, found unresponsive in his North Carolina prison cell early this morning. Sources familiar with the incident telling ABC News Kaczynski's death is being investigated as a possible suicide. The 81-year-old Harvard-educated mathematician who was transferred to a medical prison facility 18 months ago for poor health admitted to 16 bombings from 1978 to 1995, killing 3 people and injuring 23 others. In 1995, the Washington Post, along with the New York Times, printed his 35,000-word manifesto. Soon after, his own brother recognized the manifesto's tone and tipped off the FBI.
The Unabomber's career is over.
In April of 1996, investigators found Kaczynski in a 10 by 14-foot plywood cabin near Lincoln, Montana, filled with journals, explosive material, even 2 completed bombs. And in his manifesto, Kaczynski wrote that his actions were motivated by his belief that modern technology was damaging to both society and the environment.
All right, well, there you go. That is all I've got for you on the news. Ted Kaczynski no longer with us. Donald Trump in a lot of hot water, and the best is yet to come for the rest of us. How about that? How about that for an attitude? What's to watch for this week? According to the New York Times, the men's French Open final started on Sunday morning. President Biden is going to host NATO Secretary General Jens Stoltenberg at the White House on Monday. King Charles III's first birthday celebration as the sovereign king will be held on Saturday. And this coming Sunday is Father's Day. So if you're doing anything for that, happy Father's Day to all those dads out there. Happy early Father's Day. What are you going to get for your dad or for your husband or for the dads in your life? Any good gift ideas? I'm just hoping to hang out with my girls. Hopefully we'll get to do that. Maybe we can rope my dad into coming down. I don't know. We'll figure it out. But that's what's coming this week. And now I got what's coming for you right here on Stand Up. First, my latest conversation with JL Cauvin that I had on Sunday night. And after that, I caught up with Maura Quint. Always great to have her. She's back here on the Monday schedule. Maura Mondays. That's coming up at... But let's get it started with comedian and lawyer JL Cauvin, who's got a new special, and you can go get it and watch it early if you're a subscriber of his on patreon.com/JL Cauvin. Of course, subscribe to his YouTube channel. You can get a Father's Day cameo for somebody. How about that from him? Subscribe on TikTok and Twitter and all the good stuff. All of that is in the show links. He's got 2 great podcasts as well. Go listen to them. Let's do it right now with the brilliant and hilarious JL Cauvin.
Thank you for having me. As always, Pete, it's a pleasure. I know video is not the main component, but my back at my desk, unfortunately, is to my window, so it always creates like a back.
Well, this is better than the last time you were on the show where you were wearing a sleeveless Utah Jazz jersey. You look like
a real piece of shit.
Yeah, I was going to say that. That's what I was going to say. But
now I'm wearing my Jay Inslee for President shirt, and I sometimes wonder, only because having put on weight since the shoulder surgeries, I have very few T-shirts that fit me for the summer. But I always feel like, well, people think I'm some left-wing douchebag who's like looking to primary Joe Biden. Like, no, this is from 2020. I support Inslee. I'm now a Biden guy. This isn't some sort of protest.
Your support for Jay Inslee was something I always admired because your support was based on kind of a one-issue thing, which he was running on, which was climate. Of course, that didn't get him.
But when I read the record and looked into his record as a congressman and as a governor, I was like, everything I learned, the more I learned about the man, the more I was more down with his campaign.
But that brings us to the question, as you care about that issue so much, so do I. It seems to be the primary issue of our time, of my kids' time. Have you been thinking about it, reading about it, paying much attention to issues regarding climate? Obviously, you were in the Northeast during the Canadian wildfires, but have you read any good things, or have you been thinking at all about, problems, solutions, where we're at?
I have bad news for your daughters, and not just that I've seen them in elegant wear since you've been posting their prom pictures, or your older daughter's prom pictures.
Yeah.
I sometimes wonder about that, to be honest. It's like, Pete, do you know me well enough that I can just be like, hey, Pete's daughter? Aren't you afraid that some of your, you have some tangential friends that it's like, I hope they all respectfully look at the pictures.
No, I don't care, because they don't, the idea that anybody would be aroused by photos of the women in my family.
Whoa. Nobody use the A word.
The idea that anybody would be looking at those pictures of my daughter and have any kind of unsavory feeling is not something I spend a lot of time thinking.
Well, I hope now you do. That was my point. I hope now that I've put that into your mind. Anyway, let's move on. Now that I've planted that unholy seed. No, I'm very scared for the climate. And there are moments, and I hate to think this way. But there are moments when because I'm not one of these, I'm not having children because I don't believe. No, I may not have kids because it may not be in the cards. But if I was being completely honest, did I envision a life without kids? No. I would like maybe to have kids, but maybe it might not happen. So, okay. But there are moments when I think of the climate and where I go, if I'm anxious about it a little bit, there would be moments where I would feel very uncomfortable starting a life now. Like you're starting at the worst climate moment in my life. And when you're my age, you'll be at a worse climate, whatever that is. I don't know if it'll be like marginally worse or catastrophically worse. But the smoke, the sad hilarity of wearing a mask for 2 years because of a pandemic, and then going outside with a mask on because of the air was brown. I feel like it's funnier to refer to the air as brown than orange, because orange feels like a toxic thing. Brown makes it sound like diarrhea or like dirty water. Like when you have, I like to say, my water and my air should have no taste. I don't want either of those things to have taste.
Yeah, I get it.
And the air, I was out in a mask outside because we became Delhi, India for a day or 2 days. And it's only, those may not happen predictably, but this will happen more. Whatever once in my lifetime. Well, it's not going to be once in my lifetime now. It's going to be, will it be 4 times? Will it be 30 times in my life that I'm like, oh, it's time to wear my N95 so I can walk to the ice cream malt shoppy. So
I like it. It's a good take, and I think it distills it well. Let me ask you, of course, about the goings-on, the ongoings legally of the former president whose brain you live in. You live right there. How many times have you made a video, have you had him say a thing, said something as him, where that he then did it, or it turned out that the bit you were doing is not a bit, it really happened? And I mean, it's not luck, it's that you really are a smart guy, you understand to some extent the way he thinks and what he does. I mean, because it just seems to keep happening. You keep doing a thing as him, and then it turns out, that's exactly what happened.
Yeah. It's 38 times. I've kept an exact count, but
I believe you.
No. Well, the real thing, and quick plug, making podcasts great again. Get it while it still exists, because I may not be doing it for that much longer. But that's the real area where the videos have the occasional quip that he then picks up on. Jack Smith is a perfect example. It is a very generic name, so it's not a genius moment for me to go, Jack Smith, what do you think his real name is? What do you think? You think it's Jack Smith? Nah, I'd like to find out what his real name was. But no, it's very nice. No, it's very Jack Smith. And then I'm watching his speech 2 days later, and he goes, Jack Smith. What a nice name. Makes him seem nice, right? Jack Smith. Suggesting it's fake. And then he's, but the man, according to Trump, is whatever, a deranged. It's so funny because you just have to believe what Trump tells you and ignore facts, because Jack Smith, I wanted Jack Smith to get up to the podium and have a voice somewhere, as I tweeted, somewhere between Sam Elliott and Ving Rhames. I felt like I wanted him to have a voice that was so imposing and like authoritative that you were like, don't fuck with that guy. Instead, it was like, this is youth pastor Jack Smith prosecuting Trump, just in terms of voice. So things like that are easy to pick up on. But then the podcast where I do, every week, 45 minutes as Trump, there's enough space where that probably has predicted 20 things that weren't just purely, obviously he's going to go there kind of moments, constantly dismissing him as dismissing his kids. That was an easy inference. But then he actually kind of did it in that message he did to farmers, where he said, now you can leave if you like your kids. Some people don't. That's and I was like, did he just say he doesn't like his kids? Like, did he just in a Trumpian way basically say, I don't like my kids? Which I don't think he does. I think he thinks Ivanka's hot. That's what he likes. I don't think he likes his kids. And I don't mean that in I'm a Democrat being a douchebag. I'm like, I don't think he likes his children.
Right.
I don't think he wants children. I think he's happy the climate is, I think it's the opposite of me. He's like, I'm glad these kids will get to feel an increasingly warm earth.
What do you make? You're a lawyer. You went to Georgetown. You're a very smart lawyer. You're a legal analyst. As far as I'm concerned, you analyze the legal issues of the day for me now, please, because he's going to jail now. Everybody's saying it. Glenn Kirshner said it. Bill Barr said Trump's toast. He said he's toast on Fox News.
I think he reminds me of, what's that? Is it Deputy Dog or whatever?
Yes.
I think
looks like him, but doesn't. Yeah. Look at and then Trump has gone. I just threw that in the chat. Trump has now tweeted calling Bill Barr. You want me to read his truth? Read his Truth Social. Calls
his Truth Social is marching on.
Yeah, this is about Bill Barr. He's very mad at Bill Barr today.
Virtually everyone is saying that the indictment is about election interference and should not have been brought, except Bill Barr, a disgruntled former employee. We put that in quotes, even though he is a former employee. Put that, he didn't write this. This is, I don't think I actually know how air quotes work, if I'm being honest, because he is a former employee. So why the hell is that in quotes? Anyway, and lazy attorney general who is weak and totally ineffective. He doesn't mean what he's saying. It's just misinformation. Barr's doing it because he hates Trump for firing him. He was deathly afraid of the radical left. I put that in caps. It's called respect for the radical left. Okay, yeah, I capitalize it like it's a real name. When they said they would impeach him, he knows the indictment is bull, ... Turn off Fox News when that gutless pig, in quotes again. I don't think he knows how quotations work. How about that as, like, there are little basic things, like if the Republican Party, if wanting to fuck your daughter for the anti-grooming, protect our kids party, if wanting to have sex with your daughter was a real deal breaker for Republicans, we would have never had to deal with Trump. As soon as they were like, wait a second, he called his own daughter hot? Ugh. But no, that was fine, apparently. And his usage of quotes belies somebody who really doesn't have a basic understanding of the written word.
Oh, well, we knew that, right?
Yeah, but it's very, and I want to believe that he's actually nervous, upset, stressed, anxious, hurting. Like, I'd like to believe, but sometimes I'm just like, I don't even know if he's capable of that. Like, I think there's some mental things loose there. There wires that make a normal person don't really connect. And so he might just be doing this because he's like, I want to see the chaos and I want to win. That's all. I don't really actually care about, like.
What do you think about the case from what you know?
Well, just from reading the paper and stuff. It seems he's guilty. Like, it seems very easy. It seems like, in the very least, and I don't know, so I'm speaking ignorantly, but it's like one of those things where it's like, the downside is if you made a plea bargain with him, which is like you agree never to seek elected office in the United States of America again,
Yeah.
I wonder if he'd take that. But then it's sort of in this world that he's created where everything is about, it's not that I'm a fucking raging piece of shit criminal. It's they don't want me to make America great again. So he could use that again to be like, see, they never even wanted me for crimes. They just wanted me to say I wouldn't run for it. So it's a self-fulfilling prophecy.
Right.
But I do wonder, could you get him to agree to that in a plea bargain? Like, because the real danger to him is the danger he did and could do again as president. He is a criminal. He is a rapist. He is all these things. But as a country, isn't the main, the number one thing to me is without it being political, is that someone like him should be barred from running for office and being in elected office. Now, the Republicans in the Senate, as I've said before on your show, they're the ones who really dropped the ball. They had the opportunity to do exactly that.
Well, I mean, like, if you want to just make it really basic, if you're at a job in the military and in the government, military, whatever, you have access to classified top secret files and you take them, even if somehow we would say, we're not going to punish you, no punishment, but you can't ever work here anymore because you've shown that you can't be trusted with these documents. Like, you can't, once you work in government and steal documents or break some kind of even ethics law, even if you don't go to jail, like, we should just simply agree as a society, you don't get to work at that job. If you're at the water slide and you let a kid go down and the kid gets hurt because he wasn't properly on his slide, listen, I'm sorry, man, you're fired. We can't have you working at the water slide fun park.
In the immortal words of Chris Rock from Bring the Pain, you can't smoke crack. What did he say? You can't work at McDonald's if you smoke crack. They won't let you around the Happy Meals. That's what it feels like with Trump, where it's like, but this goes back to, I think, what I said the last time I was on your show a couple of weeks ago. The real truth here, even beyond Truth Social, even beyond Trump's base, I don't trust enough of the people to make the right decision. That's what's so sad. He's so blatantly, intellectually, morally, experientially equipped to be the president of the United States. Like, he can't do the job. He's not right for the job. He is unfit in all ways that you can be unfit to be president of the United States. But he got elected. Whether there was interference or Facebook ads or whatever, misogyny, he got elected in 2016, excuse me. He got elected in 2016. And even if he had not gotten elected, he would have gotten over 60 million legitimate votes for president of the United States, as a horrible human and as a horrible candidate. He got 73 million the next time. So, like, that's what we really have to deal with, is that we can't just present facts to the country and go, look, isn't this guy terrible? Right. And no, we don't agree. Like, no, I think he's the best. So, and I had a discussion on another podcast about, like, somebody said,
dare you?
The warm-up, like the way you're a warm-up for John Oliver when that's going on, like, you're the John Oliver to me. So I was just doing a Pete Dominic level show. Okay, well, what in that analogy?
What were you discussing?
Now I'm doing the John Oliver of podcasts.
Fair enough.
I said, I've never voted for a Republican in my life. That's just a fact. Like, and they said, okay, so you basically just go to your camp. You go to your, and I said, well, here's the thing. If the nominee for president on the Democrat side was the easy, hacky example, although it doesn't really apply anymore, a Kanye West or Armie Hammer, or somebody like Bill Cosby. Bill Cosby is somebody with a record of pro-black agenda, philanthropy, success, and business success, entertainment success, philanthropy. He actually, if not for the amount of sexual assaults, much better. But you get, you get what I'm saying. Like, if Bill Cosby is the nominee for president and Mitt Romney is the Republican nominee for president, I'm voting for Mitt Romney. And I say that especially if Bill Cosby were espousing anti-democratic thought and anti-American principles on top of being an accused or convicted.
Right.
He was pardoned, so I don't know exactly how to. But I would vote for Mitt Romney. Like, that's not even an easy. I'm not even like, I guess I'll sit this one out. No, I'm voting for Mitt Romney if those are my two choices. Like, I don't like that. Isn't like, I wouldn't vote. No, I would, and I wouldn't think twice about it. But that just wouldn't happen. We don't have a base in our party that is. We may have a sizable fringe of the party that's hard left, and I don't like to say fringe to dismiss it. I'm just saying mathematically, it isn't the majority of the Democratic Party. The majority of the Democratic Party is a little closer to the center than maybe the AOCs of the world. But if it was Bill Cosby now, as it got the Democratic nomination, but that would never happen. That's the other thing. There isn't that.
Well, there's that.
That can't happen, which speaks to the disgustingness of the Republican Party.
Yeah. What do you think of any of the rest of the clowns?
We are synced. We are not synced up.
What do you think of the rest of the clowns that are running, that have announced?
The other clowns, I'm not going to lie, I'm sort of enjoying Chris Christie's role in this. I think he has if he can pave the way for a person not named Trump or DeSantis, I think he's done a good service. Not that I will vote for Tim Scott or Nikki Haley, but I think if he can, now if he paves the way for Trump again, the way he did in 2016, then that may be a disservice. But I think I like what he's doing. Everybody else seems to be, it's a pathetic group of people. They're pathetic people. And I don't mean that in terms of obviously accomplishments or stature, but they are pathetic at their core. They're pathetic. Tim Scott, you are a pathetic person.
Oh, wow.
Yes. Like Nikki Haley, you're pathetic. You were sitting behind me at the opening night. I mention this every time Nikki Haley comes up. When I went to see White Boy Rick with Matthew McConaughey, sitting behind me was Nikki Haley and her parents. Opening night of White Boy Rick. You are disqualified from running for office if you took time out as UN secretary, UN ambassador to see White Boy Rick. They're all pathetic. They're all gutless. It's like, I forget the biblical phrase, but it's like, what good is it to inherit the world and lose your soul? That's roughly the quote.
Love it.
This is it in a nutshell.
Love it.
Why there is nothing. The only thing I can think of to debase yourself would be for your children or family. Like, in other words, if you had to do something to protect, preserve, or help family, loved ones, that you would debase yourself. It's like the woman, no offense to any sex positive people out there, but it's the woman who, to feed her kid, turns to prostitution. I'm not here to judge you if that is the choice you are making and are forced to make.
It's like your stand-up act.
Yes, exactly. I will shame myself literally to the grave just to hit that 10K view mark on a YouTube video. But these people are doing it for themselves, for some sort of honor that they are simultaneously debasing by going for it in such a pathetic manner. Like, how the presidency, the biggest job, the most powerful role in the world, is not worth debasing yourself for as a person. And that's what they're doing. Like, I don't think Trump is debasing himself. I think Trump is being Trump.
Yeah. These
people are sacrificing principles, values, integrity, character, all the things that make you who you are. They are sacrificing all of that.
Except for Lindsey Graham. I think he's stayed true to his core beliefs.
He true to his lack of principles. He never once picked up during this whole thing. So he stayed true to
He was asked, what are your core principles? And his answer, I saw it on Face and Age, he goes, I don't have any. None.
What are your core principles?
Don't got them.
Yellow. Oh, I thought you said safe word.
What do you think, before I let you go? You're a Christian. You're a thoughtful, moral person.
Catholic.
You're Catholic.
We don't confuse. It always sounds weird when I feel like Catholic is its own brand of particularly heinous Christian.
I don't.
So please don't just broadly
well, fair enough.
paint me with.
Nonetheless, Pat Robertson, a fellow Christian of yours, passed away this past week. What did you think of him while he was alive, and what will you about him now that he is roasting?
I thought you and the ironically named Christian Finnegan really went low when you should have gone high.
Oh.
That's what I first thought.
Fair enough.
No, you know what I like to do in the morning real quick? I'm now trying to work on my sleeping, and I've heard from many sources a good way to start getting your rhythm is to go and get natural sunlight first thing in the morning.
Huh.
So I go up to my rooftop lounge in my building at like 6:15 with some stand up with Pete and just walk around the roof getting some sun first thing out of bed.
Oh, wow. I'll give you a shout.
So that's when I listen to that. Yeah.
That's great. Wow. Thank you.
Well, I'm trying to get, see if that works, if that starts to help my sleep. But what I was going to say is Pat Robertson, I always thought of as like, one of these just gross, false prophet sort of types. And then I read his obituary in the New York Times. And it was a lot more interesting than I expected, if I can be fair. In terms of like, he almost seemed more like an example of power corrupts, because it seemed from his early years that he was maybe a true believer. Like they were like, he moved into a building in Bedford-Stuyvesant, Brooklyn to start his ministries. And I was like, whoa, I didn't hear about that part. Like, you know what I mean? Like, in other words, he was almost on that Mormon missionary kind of vibe when he became a born-again Christian. And then God told him to buy a TV station. And all of a sudden, it started getting a lot more Joel Osteen and a lot less John the Baptist. So I thought, like, it's like, it was just, and I'm just saying this, and I know I'm always one of these people who's like, there's certain, I try to find a little more sympathy for the dead than the average person. I totally get that. I don't think he was, for most of his public life, I think he was a divider and a hater and not a true Christian in so many ways. How, if you want to define that, how kind of you would think it should be defined.
Right.
But I did find his sort of early bio interesting. Like it seemed like much more of a human being having a genuine call to faith and who was trying to live that sort of biblical good life, and then money and ambition clouded that perhaps, then it just became what he was about.
There seemed to be a lot of messages coming in from God the whole time, though. That's like everything he did was a message that he got. God spoke directly to him, and, buy a TV station and then talk to everybody. It's the whole thing.
Well, that's when you buy. I think the problem was he didn't buy like a main TV station. He bought sort of so the reception.
Well, he bought what he could afford.
Was probably like, this wasn't Verizon Fios level connection. This was more of a. Can you repeat that again, Lord? Did you say the gays? I'm not quite sure what that. I think he said hate the gays. You know what I mean? Like, it's like, I've said it, and I'll say it again. If Jesus were here today, and sometimes I want to write either a story or a sketch, but if Jesus were here today, I believe the Jesus of the Bible, whether he is real or fictitious, he would be hanging out with trans sex workers and Donald Trump. That's who he'd be hanging out with. That's who he'd be trying to reach. That's who he'd be talking to. That's who he would be embracing, because he would be saying, society is on one side. He'd be saying society, that would be a kind of a let those without sin cast the first stone sort of thing. Like, why are you demonizing these people? Welcome them into the fold. Welcome them into the family of humanity. And then to Donald Trump, the sort of tax collector of today, he would be like, what's wrong with you? I believe in you. Why are you doing what you're doing?
I think that Jesus is here, and he is doing that.
Yeah, well, JC are in my initials. I'm not revealing my secret identity, but,
Thank you,
JLC. You do the math.
Thank you, Jesus, and thank you, Jesus Light, J. Al Cauvin, his son. All right. Yeah, there he goes. JL Cauvin. Always good. So good. Loved that conversation. Hope you did as well. And now it's time to welcome a second guest to today's show. It's Monday, so I often talk to my friend Maura Quint on Mondays. She is the best. So smart, so funny. We talk about all kinds of different things. Life, the world, our world. She always gives a great perspective, much like Christian Finnegan and JL Cauvin. I love talking to these guys as often as I can. So let's get to it right now with the hilarious and brilliant Maura Quint of taxmarch.org and Americans for Tax Fairness on Twitter, on TikTok, at Behind Your Back. Let's do it. Maura Quint. Yay, it's Maura Mondays. I like when we get to talk to Maura Quint and that it's also Monday. We usually talk on Sunday, but don't tell anybody. Hi.
Hi. You just told them. How dare you? You gave away the secret, like right off the bat.
I know, but I think...
Also, you're dressed like a cater waiter? What's going on?
I can't believe you came right after me. I bought a white collared shirt.
Anyone else, it's just a plain white collared shirt, like any businessman, anyone, like that just any man would wear. But yes, my first thought was cater waiter.
Well, I think my head in it looks like either janitor or caterer, like lead caterer, though. Like I'm the guy who works with the hot meals.
When I realized that there doesn't seem to be any more of the little vegetable croquette that I like coming out the door, you're the guy I go to be like, are you guys going to bring more of those? Or are they done?
Excuse me? Are there any more vegetable croquettes, sir, who probably had several careers by the looks of him?
I know that you're running sheerly on cocaine at this point, but if you could just check in the back, I'd appreciate it.
Yes, miss, more vegetable croquettes for you. I just got out of jail. Well, all that just based on the shirt. I wasn't even thinking. I bought a couple of shirts for the summer that I could wear literally like on camera for these types of interviews, and now I feel so much insecure. Like this shirt is going back to the store.
No, you look so nice. It's just
absolutely
strange.
Right.
It's just like a hot Sunday day, so you look like you've come from something formal, but you look very nice. You should feel very good about it.
You're absolutely right, and this shirt's going back, and I would say the same thing if anybody else was wearing it. I would have made several more jokes. Yeah, just toss me the keys. Valet. I look like a valet, although... I don't know. Bald with a white beard. Anyway, good to see you. Thank you very much.
Me too. Absolutely.
Thanks
for taking time out of one of your many part-time jobs to do this with me.
Were you a person who said Trump will never be indicted?
I don't know. I might have been. Might have been. I've been doubting it.
Yeah. That's fair.
It's possible. But, I also, the world is chaos. So who knows? But the pattern is such that he just gets away with shit.
That's true.
It's not like I feel like, oh, yeah, it's happening now. I don't know. I just assume it's all going to vanish in smoke in a second, too.
Do you think this is different, this indictment that just came down?
No. I mean, maybe it is. This is not me. Okay. Right now, I am in no way giving any sort of political expertise. This is no punditry whatsoever. I am speaking from how my mind and soul operates, which is just assume the worst and you'll be excited if better things happen. That's it. It's just I'm sure nothing will happen here. And won't it be so fun if something does? But I'm still going with nothing's happening.
That is how you are in general about your life and the course of it and the events
I hate being disappointed. Yeah. I hate being disappointed. And I probably hate it a little too much. I should probably embrace just the ability to be disappointed or hurt or those types of things. But as a protective cushion, I just go, well, let's assume everything is going to fall apart. Everyone will fail you and you'll just be sad and alone. That's not so bad, is it?
I think that you are articulating a very common outlook on life. A lot of people do that as a way to protect themselves from disappointment, right? It doesn't seem to be, it seems to be realistic.
Yeah, it is. I mean, I'm better at it now, but it was in my life limiting actually, because I mean, there are lots of things I might have pursued if I wasn't already so set on the fact that I will be rejected and I don't want to be rejected. So I just won't try. And if I didn't have that sort of a protective mindset, I probably would have been out there just just allowing for opportunity and trying and things like that, which I avoided for a long time. This is all very deep now. When do the jokes come?
I was talking to my brother. Here comes one.
Okay.
And I was telling him how I've got this pretty good positive outlook. I'm feeling actually really good about a bunch of things right now. And I'm 47, turning 50. And I was like, hey, maybe the best.
Oh, you're skipping like 2 years. You're just 47, turning 50.
I'm 47 and I got 3 years till I'm 50.
Mm-hmm.
And I started just talking about how I'm taking really good care of myself, working really hard. And I think invested in the right people and things and doing good stuff. And I try to keep a positive outlook. And maybe the best is yet to come, I said to him. I go, maybe we're just getting started. Maybe there's infinite possibilities. And my brother says, with you, I don't doubt it, because you have kind of lived your life with these silly platitudes that work for you. They work for you. Go ahead.
That's fantastic. Yeah. I mean, I don't know. My life has never been a direct line. It's always just sort of like, I'm a pinball, basically, just like getting whacked around from paddle to paddle. Who knows?
It sounds like you're also a pickleball, maybe even.
I'm a lot of balls is what I am.
Well, you said
many balls.
Many different balls.
Many balls being slapped is what's happening here.
Well, you could slap balls into any arena is what you're saying. Like you're over here, you're over there. Oh, now
I'm doing the slapping? Oh, well, this got hot. Okay.
Ew. I just thought of a speed bag image and you just back and forth destroying.
Yeah, I'm all over the place. But it's in a good way, in a way that I like, in a way that I embrace. And I think you have some of that too. Embracing the sort of uncertainty and unknown and just like, just stay open. Go to the next thing. Who knows?
Yeah, I think I've learned so much about just that word uncertainty and how much trouble it creates day to day, hour to hour, minute to minute.
Yeah. Do you struggle with uncertainty?
I certainly do. Yeah.
You certainly. Yeah.
I wish I hadn't misspoke.
Everything's about the shirt now. Yeah. I know. It's just on your head. You can't escape it. I understand. It's all right. I cursed us. I feel like I'm okay with uncertainty, actually, a little bit. I don't feel like uncertainty is terrible to me. When I'm in a place where there's uncertainty and like all options are bad, I mean, that sucks. When it's just like, I just want to know which bad outcome is going to happen here. That I don't like. But if it's sort of broad uncertainty, like, well, I don't know how things are going to go, I'm not uncomfortable there. Like I'm okay with that.
Yeah, I think I can see it both ways for myself. You said I am like this to a certain. I don't like to plan out too much. I don't like to know what's happening. I like that. That's why I like the platitude of unlimited or infinite possibilities. Who knows what's going to happen today? I do like that. That's excitement for me. That's why I never missed a day of high school. Like I loved going, being like, what's going to happen today? Who am I going to talk to? Who am I going to meet?
I'm sorry. Are you trying to spin a great philosophy out of being just a giant nerd? Is that what you're trying to do right now?
Wasn't a nerd. I wasn't studying. I was just there for the show. Like I loved it. I loved going to school.
What high school did you go to?
I went to I
didn't get a lot of shows.
I went to a high school where, I just met up with like 18 of those guys last weekend. Like it was good.
Crazy. That's crazy. I mean, it's wonderful. It's incredible to me, but also that's insane to me. The idea of hanging out with 18 people I went to high school. I couldn't name 18 people I went to high school with. I really don't think I could on the spot right now. I could come up with maybe 6.
It was a fascinating, every year it's a fascinating social experiment. And every year it generally goes really well. Nobody leaves. I feel like with any kind of problems, drama, hurt feelings. I think if anything, guys leave with new, stronger bonds. I certainly, did. I connected with this couple of guys in a way I hadn't before. It's great.
That also sounds hot. I'm glad you had fun.
Why don't you make all the jokes that you made off the air and text messages to me when I told you?
Do you know how hard it was for me not to do all of that right now? That's why I just went with the very simple, that sounds hot. I just decided to leave it open to the listener to fill in all of the jokes of you fucking all of your friends from high school, which is, what I just went off with relentlessly.
I can't just rent a house with my buddies and skinny dip in the lake and hang out in the hot tub and then, share a bed because there aren't enough beds and nobody has any kind of sexual contact. That can't be a thing for us. All of us really great.
whatever you want it to be, I just assume there must have been some dangle happening. Just some patting of the penises. I don't know exactly how you did it, but it's there. You know each other.
To be fair, I assume there was too, but I'm just saying I wasn't invited to it. It was after hours, apparently. I just think,
wow, you're getting shut out of the sex party
so.
at your own little high school reunion party?
I think I'd have been invited. I stayed up, but it was like 4 a.m. They had a party boat and some mushrooms. I don't know what happened out there is all I'm saying.
Oh, sorry. That pause was like, because for 1 second, I wanted to be like, oh, can I go next year? And then I thought through the implications of that and was like, oh, God, no, I do not want to go at all. I just want this myself. I just want the boat and the mushrooms, really, is all that I'm trying to say. Can I have that once you guys are done? When you leave, can I just come in and have the boat and the leftover mushrooms?
I will give you the address, and you just come in next year in a cleaning crew outfit, and nobody will know.
That sounds awful.
And just wink at me on the way.
Can I borrow your shirt?
That is the third slam on my really crisp, very white shirt that contrasts with my tan, beautiful bronzed skin, which I was hoping would look good, but apparently it only makes you think
look great.
There's so many jobs I should be working, wage jobs. I want to ask you about this. I don't know if you know David Roberts. On Twitter, it's Dr. Volts. He used to write at Vox, and he has his own outfit now, which is really, really great, called Volts.wtf. And because this is kind of a Twitter kind of political thing, I thought you would pick up on this. So I just wanted to read this for you to pick up on. He writes, the most painful thing on Twitter in the wake of a big thing happening is watching earnest liberals spend hours and hours crafting arguments and offering citations and cross-linking threads as though there's an actual good faith debate happening. Like J.D. Vance takes a dump on his feed, and I've seen probably 100 people arguing with the dump as though Vance or anyone else in the cult is open to rational persuasion, as though they wouldn't, if this dump is in fact discredited, just take another dump. Maura?
Well, absolutely. There's no point in arguing with any of these people in Twitter or on Twitter. And I think some people get really sucked into it. And it's just this waste of energy that is irritating, actually, and frustrating. However, I also don't want to say it's entirely worthless, because there can be some positive to that, which is that not that you're the individual you're responding to will see it and go, I hadn't thought about it like that. I suppose I will change my entire life and stop screwing everyone over. No one's expecting any sort of big Scrooge Christmas Day moment. But it can be helpful, I suppose, for arming others with information that maybe don't follow you, that you don't interact with, especially if you're a smaller account and you don't otherwise, feel like you have a lot of reach. And so posting things in comments of accounts that are very large, but that refute the point or that give citation, can be a good way of sharing that information with other people of like minds who maybe don't have direct access to the sort of references that you're putting in there. So it's not entirely pointless. It can be useful. But I think, if you're seeing a friend or family member do it, note how emotionally involved they're getting. Because if they're doing it from a place of no, I got to fight this guy, I got to take him on, that's not maybe the healthiest place to be going from. But if it is sort of open-eyed and going, all right, you know what, here's a place people are going to be looking, let me put some actual facts in there. That could be useful to other people as they go about their world. And they can be like, you know what, I read the other day that actually 90% of blah, blah, that can be a useful thing to do there.
I think you're absolutely right. That's a lot of nuance to his nuance, which I think makes really great points. I'd love to hear you in conversation with that guy, because you're both super smart about this and everything. He goes on, by the way, to talk about primarily arguing about climate change, because that's been his beat forever, and how he's, how bad faith it is, and that it's never really worked. And anyway, fascinating stuff. All right.
Yeah, I think with climate change in particular, it's one of those issues that is just so omnipresent, but that we get a little bit burnt out on too. It is helpful to sort of constantly be reminded of it, though, and the vast networks of evil that are harming us, and the ways that, there could be help. I feel like that's one where, honestly, just putting out more and more information is a net good.
Who's John Paul Sartre? Do you know who that is? Because he later on.
I have no idea if you're trolling me right now.
No, I'm not, because he quotes this guy who
Jean-Paul Sartre is probably just the name that somebody that you're about to talk about is going under, because he's definitely not on Twitter.
I don't know who this guy is, but listen, he writes, David Roberts says that Jean-Paul Sartre, or however his name is, nailed this dynamic in reference to anti-Semites, the dynamic of arguing in bad faith that I read. He said that this is what that guy said. Never believe that anti-Semites are completely unaware of the absurdity of their replies. They know that their marks are frivolous, open to challenge, but they're amusing themselves, for it is their adversary who is obliged to use words responsibly, since he believes in the words. The anti-Semites have the right to play. They even like to play with discourse by giving ridiculous reasons. They discredit the seriousness of their interlocutors. They delight in acting in bad faith, since they seek not to persuade by sound argument, but to intimidate and disconcert. And if you press them too closely, they'll abruptly fall silent, loftily indicating by some phrase at the time for argument is past, which is exactly what I think is happening right now on the Sunday shows and the remaining Trumpers who go on TV and try to argue to discredit the Department of Justice and support Donald Trump on these indictments. Like, with that, what I just read, they're exasperated because they can't defend these 37 counts.
Yeah, but they're still being given the platform to do so, right? Like, we're still pretending as though there's another side to be had here, when it's just clear there isn't. There's no other side. Like, the dude who does nothing but brag about committing crimes is clearly caught in a crime. There's not another side to that. But yet the newsrooms, like, they love Trump. They love it. He's a good sell. So they're going to put him up there and they're going to say, like, well, what do you think is happening here? Like there's anything. I mean, it might as well be children's story time, because it's just like, how fantastical can you be? Can you make up an idea? What do you think at home? Did a unicorn come in? Like, it's that level of
yes, but usually, and but I'm talking about Jim Jordan, Lindsey Graham, and radio host and Fox guy Mark Levin. These are three of the people that I've heard going nuts trying to defend Trump. And usually they come up with a great argument that's convincing to people who aren't paying attention or to biased people, like you're saying. In this case, Maura, I'm telling you, I watched like all three of these guys. They were exasperated, like they had nothing, because even the Fox News anchor read back to him, was like, there's a tape of him saying, I used to be able to declassify this, but now I can't, and it's secret. But you can look at it. Like, there's a tape of him saying
it's so good.
That
it's
he understands
hilarious.
that he can't do what he's about to do. And in all those clips, those people are like, I know it looks bad, but they have nothing.
It's so funny, because there are moments where it's even just like, is Trump in some sort of weird Faustian bargain with the devil, where it's just like, here's what you need to do in order to, like, reclaim your soul. You need to be prosecuted for some sort of crime, because it really feels like he's just, his whole time, he's just like, how can I make this more obvious? How can I absolutely make this impossible for anyone to side against me? And it's just like, but time and time again, Trump wiggles out of that jam easily, every single time. But it really feels like he's desperate. He's just desperate for someone to come along and put some cuffs on him and, like, haul him away in the back of a van.
Yeah, he is screaming, I commit crimes all the times, so many crimes all the times.
He
now come
could
get
shoot
me.
someone on Fifth Avenue, right?
Yeah, I could. Sometimes a lady likes when you assault them. What do you think about the alternative candidates that we're hearing, specifically RFK Jr., Robert F. Kennedy Jr., and Cornel West have both announced? That seems to be like, that's making me feel slightly uneasy to see them potentially picking away at Biden's, probable win, to the point that it could put Trump or some other Republican in the game.
Well, first of all, do we think that RFK Jr. pulls votes from the left? Because I don't think he does.
Don't know.
I mean, I saw some headline that's like, you want to, write off RFK Jr., but don't yet, or something like that. Some sort of ominous looking headline. And I went, oh, I should click that. And then I didn't. And my ultimate response is, no, I'm going to write him off. No, I'm not going to invest any energy in that one. Nope. I don't think that's a thing. And, I would hate to eat my words, but I don't often. Like, my words usually are pretty I do an okay job generally of not going a little too far, but I'm gonna take a hard stance on that one. I think he's too ridiculous to be a concern. And then the Cornel West stuff. I mean, I can understand why there would be concern about Cornel West. I don't think that there is an infrastructure in place that is going to boost Cornel West in a way that is going to have any impact on Biden. I think the people that are excited for his run and the people that are tied to that particular party at this moment in time are probably not Biden voters anyway. And they may consider themselves, on one side of left, they might consider themselves progressives to some extent, but they're an offset. They're a smaller subsection of progressive left that has already kind of given up on electoral politics anyway, and weren't likely to show up at the polls and vote for Biden regardless. So I don't really have a lot of concern on that one right now either.
I like that analysis. I hope you're right about that. You usually are about such things. All right.
I mean, I'm looking at I'm a progressive. I don't like Biden. I don't want to vote for Biden, but that's not a viable candidate to me. And I don't know anyone that would have otherwise. I don't see anyone being excited. And in fact, I see a lot of criticisms of the party itself and the people who have put it together as kind of the left grifter wing that doesn't really have a lot of ability to gain a lot of momentum.
Left Grifter Wing is my new podcast, by the way, that I'm dropping with Maura. That was our way of introducing it. LGW with Maura and Pete, everybody. Here's a new supplement.
That would be a very niche audience I think we'd be creating there, and mostly it would just be like Brie Joy getting really mad at us. But then we'd get Wikipedia pages.
The Left Grifter. You can't grift. You don't have the ability to grift.
I want to so bad.
I know. I can sense you do, but you can't. You just can't. You have too much integrity to grift.
I know, and it sucks. But I feel like it could go away at any moment. I feel like it could. It could.
Sorry, I know you too well. But the final thing I wanted to ask you is, how do you see the debt ceiling resolution shaking out? We're out of that about a week. You obviously paid close attention to that, being who you are when it comes to tax policy and so on, taxing the billionaires. Doesn't look like that happened.
It did not. It was a very frustrating process. There's a lot of anger within the sort of progressive econ movement. There are quite a lot of people who feel very, very frustrated. Not so much that Biden pulled a terrible deal. I mean, if you look at it as, okay, you had to go into a bipartisan deal, how is this one? There is a sense of I think you did a pretty good job, and this is probably the best that could have been done, and it's not too destructive. There's a lot of talk about the work requirements for SNAP and TANF, but that's not. I mean, they're mislabeled work requirements because there were already work requirements there. So it didn't add work requirements that didn't exist previously. What it did was expand the ages. So it added more bureaucratic red tape for slightly older Americans. It increased the age, which is awful and shouldn't happen. I mean, don't get me wrong. That's a terrible thing and should not happen.
Right.
But it's not quite as dire, I suppose, as it's being paid in terms of dire a change, not that vast a change. So, okay, it's an agreement, it's a deal, fine. But there's a lot of belief that there should never have been a bipartisan deal that was sought at all. Biden started off saying, I'm not going to negotiate on this. There's no reason not to have a clean debt ceiling raise. And a lot of belief on the left in progressive econ circles that really that is what should have happened. And if that was going to be an issue, which of course it was, Republicans are going to always use this. Yeah. And they're going to try for more and more each time. Yep. And eventually we're going to have to go to war. And this looks like, this could have been the time we went to war. Mint the coin, or using the amendment, the 14th Amendment, or, whatever the route might be. But we're going to need to do it because it's not as though we're going to get into a governing situation where we have like a nicer version of the opposition party that's suddenly going to not do the thing they did last time even more. Right. So instead, it's one of those things with incremental bad behavior that is happening. And sometimes you need to just cut it off. And it's not going to be pleasant and it's going to be ugly and you're not sure, but like it's going to have to come to a head. And so I think there's a lot of frustration that Biden didn't stay the course and just simply go and let it come to head so that we are not just giving away more and more and more each time in battles that shouldn't be happening at all. So quite a bit of frustration, I think, still there, and a little bit of demoralization, but that's all right because, we're used to it. Just keep fighting. Just take a couple days.
I love it. I appreciate that analysis a lot. Before I let you go, why don't you give us some advice for the week ahead about how to live our lives in any way, with any joy or without it, with pain or without it? How do we move forward into this week, Maura? What do you want to tell folks?
Oh, well, you just have been talking about the debt ceiling. So now I want to be like, well, the Ways and Means markup is coming. And so what we should do is punch every Republican in the face.
Is that something that's coming this week?
Me happier. Yeah, that's happening. It was noticed on Friday, which I only learned that term. I'm learning DC terms in real time. And they were talking about when the Ways and Means markup was happening. And someone said, well, I believe it's going to be noticed a couple days before. And to me, that just meant like, oh, they're going to see it. Like it's just sitting there, but no one's noticing it. And then eventually someone's going to be like, oh, there it is. Like, no, that's the word they use to say that they are giving notice and they are putting it out to the world.
Ways and Means Republicans are preparing tax package for a vote next week. The bill is expected to revive tax incentives for businesses that have phased down or lapsed under the 2017 Trump tax cuts. Is that right? That's
right. That is, you found exactly the right headline you needed to find to understand what I was talking about.
Yeah, that's what I do.
You nailed it. Yeah.
Very good.
The Trump
Go ahead.
The Trump tax law is coming up for renewal, or at least provisions of it are, and they are specifically provisions that are meant to give tax cuts to huge corporations. And that is happening. It's coming out of committee hearing markup on Tuesday, and so it will go to a vote this week. Republicans, it's not expected to pass, but it might. And the main thing that we're concerned about, obviously, out of the House. The main thing we're concerned about is making sure that Dems hold the line, because unfortunately we have a lot of squishy Dems who are more than willing to be like, I don't know. I'd hate to be seen as hurting business. Business is good. And so we want to make sure that they are all aligned, which seems to be. But, if you want to call your congressman and let them know this is bullshit, don't fucking do it. That's one way you could have a nice week, or I could have a nice week because I know you're doing it. Also, if you just want to throw rotten fruit outside of the house at any random Republican, that's fine.
You're suggesting listeners throw rotten fruit at Republican congressmen's homes?
Them themselves is what I was suggesting.
Republicans' tax package isn't expected to draw support from across the aisle or advance in the Democrat-controlled Senate without any changes. And then here's a quote from Ron Wyden, a Democratic senator. I like Ron Wyden. He says that the tax package needs to be balanced, bolstering the social safety net if it includes business incentives. He said, advancing bipartisan measures to increase the supply of affordable housing is a priority, and they're holding a hearing next week on anti-poverty and family support provisions in the tax code. So maybe Democrats can make this better and they can pass something that actually helps people.
Well, this is the concern of a sort. The concern is that Dems will do their sort of squishy thing where they go, well, I guess we can give corporations big tax cuts, but we should get something too. And then they'll get the tiniest crumb that they can possibly get and call it a win. And that is a real fear. Because if you're going to give away massive tax cuts, you better be getting something really massive in exchange. Right. And we do not right now, I think, have a strong enough Democratic Party that understands how to wield and use power. And unfortunately, we do have a group of people who go, well, we got a little something. Did you see how we got a little something? So, not so bad, which is a bit frustrating from where I'm sitting. So, but this is not at all what you were asking me. I just had to.
No, I'm glad you. I'm so glad you went to that. I had no idea about this tax package coming up this week and the committee, and it's good to pay attention to such things for sure. So I'm obviously
I don't know. I'd rather not.
Well, it's part of your work, and that's one of the things I always love to talk with you about. I think tax policy is pretty much the most important thing, and very few people can make it as interesting as you can. So,
well, thank you. That's very nice. I'll have a better week.
Even when you have to crowbar it in when I'm simply asking for a platitude.
I know. My platitude is wear as many crisp white shirts as you can and then just walk into places. People will assume you belong. Either you're working there or you're a rich person attending there.
Hey, I got a drop off for Anderson.
Just you can go either way with it. But I think it'll get you in some places.
Thank you, Maura.
Thank you.
Okay, there she goes, like a true comic, taking shots at my beautiful white shirt, which I've got the receipt for and will now return because I can't take even the lightest ribbing on my clothes, but I certainly can dish it to anybody who is within my line of vision. That was good stuff. I love talking to her, and I hope you'll say hi to her on Twitter. We should invite her back to another hangout. She's always a fun hang. At Behind Your Back on Twitter, or follow her on TikTok. Let her know TikTok that you heard her here. Follow me on TikTok. I've got 382 followers now. Pete.Dominic on YouTube.com/standupwithpete. Of course, Instagram and Twitter and Post and Mastodon and whatever else. I don't know. I need a link tree, don't I? All right, that's all I've got for you today, but looking forward to bringing you my conversation with Michael Ian Black this week, as well as Dr. Aaron Carroll, the author of Girl Dad. Maddie Anderson joins me for the first time, and so much more. Who do you want to hear from? Email me, standupwithpete@gmail.com. And how about this for a quote to end the show? The best way to find yourself is to lose yourself in the service of others. Mahatma Gandhi. Ooh, I like that. Thanks, Mahatma Gandhi. John Carroll, take us away.
You gotta stare the devil straight in the eye. We got to let him know it's his turn to go. See it clear and all you hear is a lie. Don't get up off of your butt, get down off of your fence. Even if it ain't a very friendly audience, well, they'll begin to listen when you start making sense. And you stand up, stand up. No need to point your rifle to defend your town. Just stand up, stand up. You know they can't deny you what you're laying down. Oh, you better stand up, stand up. Show your face of every color, yellow, black, red, and brown. She's the place where every lost child will finally be found. There's only one thing to do before we stand our ground, and that's stand up, stand up. Well, the founding fathers saw a land for all. They had to stand up, they had to stand up. They had a keen imagination for a crystal ball, drawing all the plans of a stand up. But all they had to go on was the time they were in, with other causes for laws, and since they weren't even sin, they knew that change was gonna come before the change could begin. They had to stand up. All right, they had to stand up. We got to stand up. We got to look the devil square in the eye. We gotta let him know it's his time to go, and make it clear when all we hear is a lie. Why you lying awake wondering where the money all went? It'll be the cost of freedom that'll go unspent. You can see him flee the scene of that experiment if you stand up. All right, we got to speak up, we got to reach up and raise your voice in every way you know how. Don't be toes up, you got to show up. Ain't no better time to do it but now. No need to pledge allegiance to no wanton tribe. Rise up, show obedience to the voice inside, and listen well and it'll tell you not to run and hide. It says stand up, stand up. Got to stand up. Ooh, come on, just stand up. Everybody got to stand up in the dark.